In June 2024, Panasonic launched its first ever compact full frame, the Lumix S9, omitting stuff like a hot shoe, an EVF, and the mechanical shutter. To add insult to injury, instead of bundling the camera with a fast Pancake lens, they instead opted for this stinker.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the?
They did eventually release the 40mm f2 2 years later, albeit at €400, while cheaper than the S line is not exactly a steal. Let's see what the third-party competition came up with in the meantime, in terms of small AF primes that don't break the bank. This episode is brought to you by Dr. Evil.
Now, Mr. Evil.
Dr. Evil. I didn't spend 6 years in evil medical school to be called Mr. Thank you very much.
Before we start, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Help this channel get to
100 billion.
subscribers.
Well done, Mr. Powers. We're not so different, you and I.
The competitors in this video will be the TTArtisan 40mm f2, the SG Image 35mm f2.2, the Viltrox 28mm f4.5, which was just released for L-mount in summer 2026, and as a first-party control, the Lumix 35mm f1.8. Not featured in this video, the Lumix 26mm f8, which, despite being a pancake, is not AF, plus it sucks. The Lumix 40mm f2, which would be the ideal control, but I don't have it. The Sigma 45mm f2.8 because A, I don't have it, and B, it's not affordable either. And finally, the Viltrox 26mm f2.8 Evo, which is not available for L-mount yet, and which is also a bit more pricey than the others.
Initiation sequence in progress.
Okay, alright.
Gravity booster EMS. Steady at full power.
All I asked for was a frickin' rotating chair, okay?
On the plus side, the TTArtisan 40mm f2 has solid metal construction, an aperture ring, and USB connectivity via the lens cap. On the minus side, the hood fits too snugly, which causes a problem with all but the slimmest of filters. The alignment notch is a bit too discreet compared to the other lenses. The lens weighs in at about 229 grams, which is not that much for an optic with an all-metal body. The SG Image 35mm f2.2 is very Pancake-like. It's chunky but sturdy. Also, it has a USB port for firmware updates. On the minus side, it doesn't have an aperture ring, and the provided extra hood cannot be mounted with standard filters, even slim ones. This is a design fail if you ask me. It weighs in at 181 grams, which is almost 50 grams less than the TTArtisan. The Viltrox 28mm f4.5 has a tiny footprint, and it also comes with a USB port for firmware updates. It can be activated through a switch, which is quite practical. On the minus side, it has no filter thread, which means ND filters or mist filters are a no-go. Also, it has no manual focus ring. It weighs in at a measly 65 grams, so you won't even feel it mounted on your camera. The Lumix 35mm f1.8 is total plastic, but high quality. It has a slick, uniform form factor across the whole S line, which is great for use in video. And it comes with a hood with a release button, which is usually found in premium lenses. Then again, the Lumix S line of lenses is pretty premium. On the minus side, it has no aperture ring. It's the heaviest of the lot at 382 grams, which is to be expected given it's twice the size. But it doesn't really feel heavy during actual use.
But I do know this. This time it's personal. Kill him.
Now, let's get a feel for the images they can produce. All of the images shown here are straight out of camera, but many do make use of real-time LUTs. The TTArtisan has a pleasant rendering for my eyes. 40mm is a useful walk-around focal length, and the f2 maximum aperture lends itself to low light and shallow depth of field. The SG image has very decent sharpness across the aperture range, albeit with a quirk that I will come back to later. 35mm is a staple of street photography, handy for moderate wide-angle shots and environmental portraits. Some of the Viltrox images were taken with the Sony version of the lens, which performs identically. Note the flaring and sun stars when shot against light sources, which is a weak point of this lens. When intentional, I do enjoy them though. The Lumix is a super solid performer as you would expect from a premium first-party lens. It shares the same focal length as the SG image, but is faster at f1.8. You won't regret this lens for street and travel.
I shall call him Mini-Me.
None of the three Chinese affordable lenses are anything to write home about in this category. On screen you can see the close focus specs as per each manufacturer, though the SG image seems to do better than advertised in real-life results. The Lumix is the clear winner here. Being much bigger and more expensive than the others has probably given the Lumix engineers the freedom to come up with an optical formula that can also perform well at macro distances. The SG image comes second with a decent enough performance. The TTArtisan and the Viltrox both come last and won't be of much use for detail shots unless you crop in post. For my personal style of shooting, this detracts a lot from these lenses being considered well-rounded.
I have one simple request, and that is to have sharks with frickin' laser beams attached to their heads.
I kinda half-assed this test by shooting inside with a boring background, which caused the ISO to go high for the two darker lenses, though their optical performance is still evident regardless. The TTArtisan is an okay performer wide open. It's not tack sharp, but I'm getting enough texture on the eyes and skin for my portrait needs. I messed up the SG image shot by trusting it would be in focus, but it wasn't. Thankfully, I have another earlier sample that was properly focused. The detail in that one is perfectly adequate. If there is a lesson to be learned, it is to double-check focus with these lenses and overshoot rather than undershoot to make sure you have enough keepers. The Viltrox with its underwhelming f4.5 will drive the ISO up in more dimly lit situations. But even at ISO 2000, the center third of the image is impressively sharp with more than enough detail on the eyes and skin. The Lumix is the most clinically sharp of the lot, which is to be expected. If you want the best wide-open performance out of this grid, this is the clear winner.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Shh. Look. Shh. Let me tell you a little story about a man named Shh.
Top down, the TTArtisan is again an okay performer. Not great, not terrible.
What does the decimeter say?
3.6 Röntgen, but that's as high as the meter.
3.6. Not great, not terrible.
Sharpness seems to be pretty decent across the field. Contrast is a bit on the low side. The bottom right corner does seem to lag behind a bit, even at f8. With the SG image, while sharpness across the frame is very decent, both copies of this lens I have tried display a very peculiar behavior when stopped down. While metering is accurate wide open, when stopped down the camera consistently underexposes by a stop or more. I reported this to SG Image on the first copy I received, and they immediately shipped a replacement. However, the second copy seems to have the same issue. If you have this lens and yours exposes fine stopped down, please let me know in the comments. I don't know if this will be addressed in future firmware. The current 1.2 version still has the issue. I haven't seen anyone else report it, so your mileage may vary. But since it's a bit annoying, it does make it harder for me to recommend. With the Viltrox, while the center is totally respectable, the edges do lag behind. though it does seem to be more smudgy in the bottom right corner, so maybe this copy is a bit decentered. Since the lens only has one aperture, it cannot gain any benefit from stopping down. You will also be limited in use cases that require faster apertures, such as night photography, or slower apertures, such as long exposures. You can also not use an ND filter to achieve slower shutter speeds. But on the other hand, the shooting experience with the Viltrox is kind of liberating because it's so bare bones that you don't need to concern yourself with much. Just point and shoot. The Lumix is super sharp and contrasty edge to edge. It also has the most saturated colors. There's the slightest hint of chromatic aberration even at f8 on contrasting edges like this antenna in the top right. But other than that, I don't see much to complain about.
Even after they pay me the money, I'm still gonna melt every city on the planet with liquid hot magma.
On the plus side, the TTArtisan is mostly accurate in AFS mode, though I have had some misfocused images when tracking. Focus breathing is relatively well controlled. On the minus side, it's not very snappy as it uses a stepping motor. The SG image is mostly accurate in AFS mode, though I have had a couple of focus near misses, as we saw in the portrait segment. The AF is not very snappy, as it too uses a stepping motor. Focus breathing is quite noticeable, and also it's a bit less confident, especially when focusing on lower contrast areas. The Viltrox is mostly accurate in AFS mode. Its VCM voice coil motor does not provide for very responsive AF either. The focus breathing is considerable. The Lumix is on another level, with its linear autofocus motor giving it near instantaneous focus lock-on. Focus breathing is incredibly well controlled as well.
Why make trillions when we could make billions?
A trillion is more than a billion, numbnuts.
All three lenses cost between 1/7 and 1/4 of the first-party lens. Is the Lumix 4 to 7 times better? I would say probably not, even though for $729 you do get professional quality and performance, which in the long run might be worth your while for the first-party peace of mind it offers. If you're looking for an affordable option for casual use, any of the third-party lenses offers adequate performance for a very modest amount, which you're not likely to regret spending. I would also argue that even if you're not in the market for a Pancake, the Viltrox is worth $100 for the experience alone.
Austin? I am your father.
Between the three, my vote goes to the TTArtisan. Despite its quirky hood and poor macro capabilities, it's the best all-rounder of the bunch. The SG image I really wanted to like, and to an extent I do. But the even worse lens hood design, and especially the underexposure stop-down, made me less eager to recommend it. The Viltrox is truly a special lens and a feat of engineering. Having something that has the width and weight of a lens cap mounted on your camera that can still take very decent pics is an experience in and of itself. If you're willing to work around its lack of filter support, the singular f-stop and its poor flare resistance, at less than €100, it's a no-brainer. The Lumix is superb, you definitely get what you pay for when going first party. I'm gonna detract one place only because of the fact that at €700+, it's not cheap as Panasonic's only first party 35mm. For a little more, you can get a Sigma 35mm f1.4, which has an aperture ring and is f1.4. It's great to have the option to spend less than €200 for a Pancake-ish autofocus lens on L-mount cameras. While obviously not as well-rounded as first-party workhorse lenses like the 35 1.8, if you're on a budget, looking for an optic for casual use, or even if you're a pro that can work around their limitations, these lenses do have a place in the L-mount ecosystem.